Champion Your Culture, the podcast where we dive deep into the heart of leadership and organizational culture. I'm Ryan McCarty.
And I'm George Rogers. Together, we're here to guide you on a journey of personal and professional growth. Every week, we bring you insights, stories, and strategies to help you and your company thrive in today's dynamic world.
So whether you're leading a team, running a business, or just eager to make a positive impact, you are in the right place. Let's jump right into today's show and champion a culture of purpose and passion. Welcome to Champion Your Culture.
Hey. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Champion Your Culture, the podcast. We are so glad to be here on this lovely Monday.
Yeah.
It's a great Monday. How have you been?
I've been good, man. It was funny because yesterday you sent me a meme that it was Matherin's birthday, which for those that are listening, it's the Pacer player Matherin. And
Benedict.
Well, anyway, about over a month ago, he backed into me. Shout out to Matherin. Thank you so much.
On the basketball court?
Yeah. After I dunked on him, yeah.
After you dunked on him.
Yeah, for sure. No, in his car. So yesterday, ironically, finally, after about a month of dealing with this, insurance and everything else, finally got a car. But it was funny because it was the same day as his birthday.
Yeah. Oh, so you got a new car on his birthday?
Yeah.
Did he buy you the car?
No.
Man, come on, man. Come on. Hey, go back, post them up, vehicle to vehicle. No, shout out to Ben Matherin. I remember that morning because we were supposed to be meeting up and everything.
That's such a mess, dude.
He was on his way to the airport, right? And
yeah, when they were playing
game 7, maybe, I believe, for the Knicks.
One of them,
and obviously he's not playing. He's still resting up. Just had shoulder surgery, but I'm excited about his future.
No, he's a great dude. I can't wait to see what he does on the Pacers, man.
Yeah. Hopefully he backs it up
on the team for a while.
Hopefully he put some physical contact like he did on the car.
I'm telling you, man, he backed it enough, dude. Let me tell you. Anyway, how's your week start?
Things are great, man. You know, over the last week or so, I've had opportunities. We've been traveling so much. I've been traveling so much. I was down in Alabama with our good friend B. Eubanks. And had HR summer schools, so that was a huge success. Over 3,600 plus. Last time I saw, it was over 3,600 people registered, and we had a 66% show rate. So typically in the webinar industry, and that's perspective, 30% is what you get usually.
Wow. Yes. Well, but they're HR people, so they're very compliant.
And so, very compliant. That was funny. Not all the time. You should have saw some of them on the weekend.
Oh, we know about
Just joking. Shout out to my undisclosed HR group, so that I've been blessed to come into that. I won't share any of their stories, but man, there are some good stories in the HR that HR.
Well, we do have the craziest shit in HR story later. That's pretty wild.
Yeah. Speaking of that, if you have a crazy HR story, confidential, we'll keep your name out of. But if it's a story, or maybe you heard of a story, we love to get those. So feel free to send them to us. You can send it to george@culturegood.com. We like crazy HR stories, or come on, man, like something happened. You just come on. So we got to have that, or come on, woman.
Yeah, for sure.
We're like equal opportunities.
Equal opportunity offenders.
Yeah. But yeah, we want to check that out. Also, be sure to make sure if you're watching us live, we appreciate it. Make sure you like, share this, subscribe if you're listening to us on YouTube and or whatever podcast platform you have. Please subscribe as well. But you can always catch us live on all the social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. We're going live each and every Monday, and if we're not live, it's because we fly.
This is why I'm hot. Anyway.
It
has been hot too, man. I mean, I know the weather thing.
I feel like I'm in Atlanta, Indiana. Jeez.
Yeah, well, the heat and the traffic in Indiana is much like Atlanta. Right?
Yeah, the heat, traffic, and humidity. It's like
humidity. Yeah.
Literally, H-I-H.
It takes your breath away, man. It's crazy. But I'm glad it's summer.
Yeah. There's this huge debate. I've been seeing this a lot on social media.
What's that?
Would you rather 36 degrees or 96 degrees?
36 or 96?
Yeah, like would you rather be cold and chill or hot? Would you like me to
96
do-
is pretty hot, but honestly, I could do 96.
Yeah.
Yeah. 36 is like.
What about 106?
Yeah, I'm
You
probably rolling with the 36.
You know what I cannot do no matter what it is? The sun cannot look at my body long and I'll just start sweating.
Yeah.
Anything over like 68 and above.
You notice why I wear black shirts a lot?
Yeah. So you don't.
No, it's because like if I wear a light gray shirt, you would not believe how much I sweat.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe is that people? There's a lot of people online.
This shirt right now is absolutely soaked right now.
Wonder if you ever change because you're like a 5 week in a row. This is like the Monday shirt. He only has 12 shirts and he keeps.
Okay. So I gotta be very vulnerable and honest.
Oh.
Okay. I dress different when I'm not in the office, even though this doesn't look like office attire and it's laid back.
It's podcast attire. We're doing podcast.
Yeah, I generally like just have more of a chill look.
Yeah.
So this is easy for me to throw on when I come into work because there's no expectations here.
Yeah.
It's real laid back and comfortable. But if I was
If
like
you had to get it
wearing
done.
my normal gear, I wouldn't be wearing it.
He stays fly. I've seen pictures.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I got to. I have 2 daughters.
You got 2 daughters and a wife that you're tracking.
They will set me
Are
straight.
you a joke?
Nah, listen,
You
Katara.
weren't. What are those?
When I first met Katara, and we had just gotten married. Not first met her, but when we had first gotten married, I was convinced that what I needed was this one suit I saw at this store because I was preaching at the time.
Steve Harvey.
And I was into, it wasn't Steve Harvey. It was like TD Jakes, Steve Harvey. It had a long top jacket, and it was shiny gold, the whole thing. Man. And she said, dope. Ryan, if you buy that, that's the end of our relationship. And so I never had that shiny gold suit, but I will one day.
Yeah.
But
you know.
Yeah. Hopefully she's gonna bury me, and if I buy it, I will be buried. Yeah. And so, ever since that one moment, anything I do in terms of any way I dress, if it's fly or cool, she takes credit for it because she's like, I was that one that told you don't buy that gold suit.
Yeah.
Don't forget.
I told you where you're gonna go.
I was like,
well, hey, we got an interesting topic today. And I want to jump into it. That was a good transition from like things that need to die.
Things that need to be said.
Yeah, things that need to be said. Because we have a lot of time. It's summertime, and what do a lot of people do in the summertime?
Take some time off.
They take some time off if they can. A lot of companies and organizations, this is peak season.
Yeah.
But parents got kids.
Mm-hmm.
Kids got vacation, and school's about to be starting. Probably, my kid has to start at the end of July. I remember we used to not start until like Labor
August
Day.
15th, right?
It was like mid-August to like Labor Day, September. Like it was one or the other, depending on if you were public or you had a little money. If you had no money, you should start after Labor Day. Yeah.
September?
Yeah, dude. It was a thing right after Labor Day.
God,
I always used to get jealous because we started like 2 weeks before everybody.
Okay.
Now like schools, Indiana in particular, they have it's not necessarily year round, but they have balanced schedule.
Yeah.
Like I did balance. Yeah. And so a lot. Last week was July.
No, I know. And then they take more time off for spring break, more time off for Christmas.
Yeah, you get more time off, and I'm thinking, no.
I thought we had just as much time off on Christmas, and we had all summer.
Yeah. Nope, it's a little bit. It's different now.
I think that's interesting because when we think about it, culture in general, when we talk about workplace culture, and we could talk about school culture as well. It's like, what is that work-life harmony? We used to call it balance, right? The work-life balance and the harmony and having a rhythm of being able to not only do your work well and be productive, but to stay engaged and connected and have a sense of well-being. We need to be able to pause.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I got a joke for you before we move on. I have ADD, so this is a good one. All right. So a bear walks into a bar and orders a drink.
Sounds like a country song.
To order a drink, yeah. And so the bartender goes up and says, "Okay, what would you like to drink?" And the bear just sits there. Just sits there. A really long time. And the bartender said, "Why the big pause?" He said, "Because I'm a bear."
Oh, that's a 7. 7. Right.
That's 7.5 out of what?
Yeah, 10, man.
Yeah, I think it's a 7.5 out of 6. That's
Yeah.
a great joke.
That's funny.
But anyway, so the pause, right? It's like the ability to take a moment and rest. Because I'm a bear. You got to do the voice too. That's because I'm a bear. It's kind of, so, but that pause in the summer or whenever, right, within our work experience to be able to take that time for ourselves.
Yeah.
That's a tricky thing, especially in the world of work-life balance and harmony and rhythm and whatever other term you want to use, because there is no work-life balance.
Yeah.
Anytime that we attempt to balance it out, it seems as though work always takes the priority. And along with that, we have to really create our life in a sense, our own, be an architect of our life, and be able to create a structure that not only allows us to be a productive team member and to show up and to get what we need to get done in terms of what we do, but also to be able to care for ourselves through that process. And as a leader, to look at our team members and ask, are we creating an environment and an architecture in the workplace where people have the space to do so?
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about the new PTO today.
Yeah.
So the new PTO, the old PTO was what? Paid time off.
Paid time off.
And we're not saying to get rid of the paid.
No, you gotta get paid. It's the PTO for the PTO.
But that's the given, right?
Yeah, like it's PTO for PTO.
Right. But what we're saying in the PTO in this conversation today, the topic of today is protected time off.
Yeah.
And how do we protect the time off in the workplace where PTO actually is truly PTO? Because your experience is the same as mine.
Right.
And quite frankly, if I were to be honest, I enjoy taking my laptop with me when I go on vacation, and I love being on vacation and going to like the beach with my laptop, or like a little cafe, and I'm like doing some work and answering emails, and here I am on a vacation, working,
right?
And
it becomes a workcation. That's the
work instead of a vacation.
Yeah, it's a workcation. It's a little bit of both.
Yeah. You have the same experience?
You know, I have an issue, yes, with not leaving it. I have a double issue. I bring my laptop and my iPad. And most of the time I have it out of convenience of if I need it.
Yeah.
It's better to have it and not have it. Now I'll go on vacation and not pull it out.
Yeah.
And it just becomes extra baggage that we're carrying.
Yeah.
And that's what we do even in work. Like work, we talk about the work-life harmony. We carry extra baggage that's not necessarily needed for anything that we're using it, but it's out of habit. It's out of mental. It's not, something that we always learn. It's not an obligation. You say, hey, George, I want you to take your laptop just in case I need you. It's not that Scott's telling you, hey, Ryan, make sure you take your stuff with you just in case I need you to get on. But it's mental obligation.
But have I said to you, don't take it?
You have not enforced it.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So that would be a protective measure.
Right.
It's not as though I can force you not to take your laptop.
Right.
It's just as a leader being able to say to you, hey, George, don't answer emails. Like make sure you set up your I'm away on vacation email and really mean it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So how do we get there? Because that's always a struggle, right? I've talked to several people, and the struggle is, hey, my boss has not told me to work.
Yeah.
But also my leaders have not told me not to work. So where are these preconceived notions of obligation mentally? And when I talk about the mental obligation, some of the reasons why I do carry my laptop, because once I left like the nonprofit and got into the corporate world, my first England, I was surrounded by some dogs, right? They were just workaholics, Gary, Steve, Jordan, Kyle. I loved it. It was like it didn't sleep. We wanted success.
Yeah.
That word right there. Remember that word. We wanted it so bad that we're willing to do whatever it took. And what we thought it took was countless hours where we would get home. I knew exactly, funny story. So Gary, my friend Gary, there were these stores, I knew I was going to get a call once or twice a week, sometimes every day. I knew exactly what time he was going to call me after hours.
Yeah.
And it was based on having family time with his family, and he would walk the dog.
Right.
To make calls. Say, hey, how did the stores end up? What's going on with this? Or we had projects, or we were, fixing some change in inventory, or hey, we're thinking about, what do you think about this process? Bouncing ideas.
Yeah.
And we would do things to justify working hard and doing best for business. Or, hey, just want to check in on you.
Yeah.
But part of checking in is, hey, what do you think about work? Right.
Yeah.
So we created this culture in a sense that we embodied.
Yeah.
That said, hey, we're going to do whatever it takes. We're going to be successful. We're going to work. Sometimes we may have 12, 13-hour days. Sometimes we may have an 8-hour day.
Yeah.
But hey, we're going to be on vacation. And I get a text message.
Right.
Hey, what's going on with this? This guy's on vacation. And
Yeah.
all these different things happens. And what it instills in you on a natural reaction is that I know that my partner, I know that my employee or my leader or whatever they be is on vacation and they're still working. So when I go on vacation, they didn't say I had to.
Yeah.
But based on what I saw, we plant seeds of a worth ethic or perception, and we water it by continuing to do it.
Yeah.
And it's reinforced. And so it's reinforced by our own actions, which employees then are aware. We talk about the act card, you're talking about change management. There's change on the other side as well. You're not changing that culture. So we are aware of what you do. We're aware. And so when I go on vacation, it naturally draws a desire.
That's the example of what's
expected. Of what is expected. And so one of the ways that we see those things is through the work ethic that we see in others.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not taught in a sense of you have to. It's not said in a sense of this is expected to. It's a reflection of what you see as a habit.
Well, and
the outcome you desire. And I want more money, so in order to get more money, I want them to know that I'm all in.
Yeah. And as we back up, you asked a question earlier, where does this come from? I think we can even take that concept of what you're talking about and hit rewind.
Yeah.
Be kind, rewind. All the way back, right, to going to school, like we were talking about. So you go to school, right, for so many hours, and then what do they give you?
Homework.
It's built into the system to prepare us for working life.
Yeah.
So that we'll go to work and take homework.
Right.
It's kind of like groomed into society from the education system forward into the workplace, where we take work home with us and we say it that way instead of saying it's homework. But what we're doing is we're taking homework. And we've been trained over and over and over every day of our childhood going to school to work hard at school and then to work more when you get home.
Yeah.
And then we question, why do we do this when we get older? And then we call it good work ethic, don't we? This is what you were talking about. It's like, oh, my dad, my grandfather taught me good work ethic. You know, what we don't remember is spending time with that individual. And, you know, they may have had great work ethic, but how was their mental health? How was their well-being? And it's not as though, you know, there's never a moment where I don't answer an email after 5 o'clock. But I think what we're talking about here is, in terms of protected time off, is having boundaries.
Yeah. Being
able to say there's guardrails within the workplace, there's policies in place. You know, we'll talk to our HR people out there, like, what are the policies? And even all leaders, what's the policy for PTO? Is it protected time off or just paid time off?
Right.
And is it even off? You know what I'm saying? Like, and then that's, I think, the key to great leadership in a world that's always on, that we allow people to be off.
Yeah.
Right. To really take that time to say, you know what, I can switch off when everything's going on. And you know, to be able to get there, I remember the most recent vacation. We hadn't taken a vacation, I think, for 5 years, literally, man.
Wow.
And we just took one recently, and it was a good one. Family member, family friend, you know, that whole mix of, like, our kids grew up with them, their daughter's getting married. We end up in Isla Mujeres in Mexico. Now in Canada, in Cancun, you know, before you get on the boat and get over to the island, you know, your phone's working, all is well. This is the first vacation ever in my life that I did not take my laptop.
Wow.
And I had a little bit of anxiety, but it felt really good.
Yeah.
And when I got to the island, my phone wasn't even working. So I couldn't even hardly get to emails. I couldn't.
We talked about it because we were thinking about doing a podcast over there.
Yeah, it was
So
it was literally impossible
Yeah.
to do anything over there. And the world didn't burn down. The world didn't come to an end.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of the workplace. Things continue to go on and move forward without me. And I think that's sometimes what we need to do is we need to set really strong boundaries that are protective for ourselves, but also as a leader when we're considering how we're creating that architecture for our team members to put policies in place that are communicated very clearly on how we honor PTO.
Yeah.
Honor and protect.
Right.
How do we honor and protect PTO here? What's the policy? You know, how do we prepare for PTO when someone's taking off? You know what I'm saying? You know, all the policies that are in place around that, have they been communicated? And is it clear to people that when they take that time off, they're really taking the time?
Yeah. Yeah. It's what I used to always say, what is off? Is it opportunities for flexibility?
Yeah.
Or is it opportunities for fulfillment?
Yeah.
Right. Am I going to be able to be off, but I'm flexible where I got to bring my laptop, or am I going to be off where I can be fulfilled?
Yeah.
In the sense of refill.
Yeah.
Right? Doing what I truly love is going to give me off time so I can come back better than I. And so it was always that flexibility or fulfillment. Which one am I really getting? Like, what is PTO, right?
Yeah.
What is this off time is? Everything's an acronym with me. And I thought about this and I had to look it up to remember, because I was told this story about Mazel Tov, right? Yeah. And it's a celebration that came originally from the Jewish community. Like, great job, right? Congratulations. And one of the stories when it came into America, one of the roots is that it meant like it's complete, it's done. Congrats, it's done, it's complete, right? Mm-hmm. And they use that in a sense of celebration that whatever is accomplished today, Mazel Tov.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry about today is today. We'll worry about tomorrow when tomorrow gets there, right?
Yeah.
That whole adage. And I think about Mazel Tov whenever I'm going on vacation or I'm taking some time off. Whatever that last day is, when I'm done and I shut that laptop down or I close my computer up, Mazel Tov.
You can't
Everything
even spell it without the off on the end.
Without the off, right? Can't enunciate it. But in all seriousness, it's you know, like, whatever it is, let it be, let it go.
Yeah. Like,
don't worry about this. However it's complete, the great thing is that it'll be there tomorrow. If you're not there tomorrow, the great thing is it'll still be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
And you did everything you could on this day.
Yeah.
Congratulations, let it be. And so I think about that Mazel Tov mentality because it celebrates something. And that's something we should bring into this thing. Talking about it from an employer standpoint, what are some things employers can do? What can we do as leaders, right? We talked about it just off the record before we were, as we were preparing about this, about, you know, truly implementing, you know, a no contact policy, whatever that is, off policy.
Yeah.
Opportunities for fulfillment, right? I'm giving it a name. And being able to implement this. We always have different policies and procedures for a lot of things. But I think when employees can truly have peace in their mind that they're not going to have some type of mindset towards, you know, from their leader when they get back because they didn't respond to an email or they didn't respond to a text or a Slack, whatever communication factors going on in organizations today, that it's going to be all right. Like, communication is okay unless somebody is dying, right? Or the company is about to go under, you don't have a job to come back to.
Yeah.
No contact policy. Talk a little bit about those. What is that?
You know, I mean, you know, when I think back to when I first started in ministry, full-time ministry and pastoring, and I had a mentor, you know, really, I guess, groom me for the idea that, and mentored me toward the idea that exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, because even, you know, you know, not everybody that's listening obviously has had any church or religious experience, but for those that do, you kind of know the old school thing that if, you know, like, people would call the pastor if their dog was sick.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, pastor, come over and pray for my dog, you know? Yeah. And we were, you know, I think early on I was taught, like, if, you know, to really prioritize the needs of others allows me to prioritize the needs of myself as well, right? So if it's not life or death, to your point, if it's not the company's not falling apart, then I'm not the one that's needed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, unless my contribution is going to save the company, you know,
Yeah.
that's an entirely different deal. Like, I'm the only one that has the password
Right.
into that program that the company needs today. Like,
Right.
those are very, those kind of situations just are very rare. So to be able as a leader to set a policy of no contact, of being able to say, George, while you're on vacation, we're not talking.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or we're not talking about work.
Right.
Like, work, you know, if there's a relationship there and we talk during vacation, great. But the work conversation is not going to come up because it's not time off.
Yeah.
And it's not protected. If we're gonna protect the well-being and the mental health of our employees and team members, we have to protect their time.
Yeah. I think what that goes into then is, how are we developing
Yeah.
and preparing, right? In our last episode, we talked about the importance of upskilling, reskilling,
Yeah.
and cross skilling. This is where cross skilling really comes in, right? If
Very
Ryan is on vacation, how do we properly work and provide opportunities for those who are going on vacation? There's a lot of critical,
The
responsibilities.
handover to
Yeah, the
someone
handover.
else. Yeah.
What is the proper handover? How do we delegate the roles and responsibilities? Maybe I'm not going to ever be Ryan McCarty,
Mhm.
and I'm going to be able to produce the things that Ryan McCarty does, right? He is the chief executive officer. He is the chief marketing officer, right? You got a lot of titles underneath that chief title that nobody ever sees, right? You're co-founder of Culture Good. But I'll never be able to be Ryan and be able to fulfill, because your creativity, your perception on things are night and day from us. Now, we have a ton of similarities.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of things that we align together, but there's certain things that you are just great at.
Yeah.
And so fulfilling Ryan's shoes is impossible. And that's also plays in the mindset of Ryan when he's on vacation, because I know George is awesome. George can do a lot of good things, but I know I can do this better than George.
Yeah.
You don't have to say it, but we both know it, right?
And there's things that you can do better than me.
And so we balance each other, but giving that peace of mind to Ryan and say, listen, Ryan, I'm not going to be able to do everything.
Yeah.
And you may come back to more work. And I know that that's a different anxiety that a lot of people, I don't want to come back to all these emails, right? That's a lot of those things. But how do we properly hand over this work? Begins with the cross-skilling conversation and preparation and delegation.
Yeah, well, you can't really hand over something to someone that can't handle it.
Yeah.
And so to be able to to have those team members around you and that supportive staff and that resource team around you, where you can say, here's my ongoing projects, here's my current responsibilities, here's deadlines.
Yeah.
And some of those deadlines might happen while I'm away.
Yeah.
But to make the team aware of that, and to make specific team members aware and prepared and equipped, to your point, and enabled to be able to lead while I'm away.
Yeah.
To do maybe not exactly what I would have done, but to do it in terms of the work continues with or without me.
Right.
I think there's a fear, though, George, with a lot of people around, like, if I don't show up while I'm off, like we were talking about, will I have a job when I come back, or will I be looked at less than? Yeah. Especially if all my team members, if it's a culture where everybody's doing that, you don't really have a choice.
Yeah.
You got to do it. If you're working in a work environment, I'll just say this to everybody: you're working in a work environment where everybody around you works while they're taking a vacation, you have to work while you're taking a vacation. Yeah. It's not protected time off. It's paid time off, paid time.
Yeah. Flexibility. It's opportunities for flexibility. You can go on vacation, but I need you to be flexible.
Not to be able to fully engage with what you want to engage with and take that time off. And quite frankly, we're talking about PTO, but the homework situation, we talk to so many people all the time that are working at work and then they're working at home. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, you know what? I need to take that PTO time. And how do they even wrap their head around it if they don't do what we're saying right now? And that is the handover.
Yeah.
And the handover doesn't happen just because I say, hey, George, here's some deadlines. Hope for the best.
Yeah.
But being intentional to set yourself up to be able to have that time off and truly embrace that while you're gone. It's more than just a quick delegation, but it's like, what are those urgent tasks and decisions that are going to need to be made in my absence?
Yeah.
And do I have someone like George or someone else on the team, or maybe the whole team, that's supportive? It would be great for the team to say, hey, we know you're leaving in 3 weeks or 2 weeks, whatever the policy is, right? Like, we need to give a 2-week notice that we're going on vacation. Within those 2 weeks, that the team says, hey, what do we need to be aware of? You sit down with the team and you say, okay, you're going to be gone for those 2 weeks. What do we need to be aware of? How can we be supportive of you? How can we, create an environment where you're protected while you're away, so that you can truly refresh? Because we want you coming back feeling refreshed, healthier, happier, and more at peace, right? That you actually took a vacation.
Yeah. I think, Ryan, this aligns, and this is not a plug. It is a plug, but it's not a plug necessarily that we prepare for. But I think this handover and this comes into check-in. We always say, when leaders don't check in, employees will check out.
Yeah.
And I think this really aligns with the RSVP, right? If we are in connection, if leadership is in alignment with their employees, and they're consistently checking in with their employees, what are your roles? What are your strengths? What are your values, right? Values is a key to this, because if I value family time and quiet time, then you know this, right? If I say this, hey, George, what are your values? You ask me that question. I say, one of those values is my family. Why is it family? I enjoy because I didn't have family time, right? I had moments, but it wasn't something that was a structured thing until I got into an adopted family, and I saw structure. We woke up before we left our house. We got together in the kitchen and we chatted for 5-10 minutes. We ended up with prayer, or whatever it is. So there was structure there.
Yeah.
People that don't have structure typically don't value the time that it takes to do those things, right?
Yeah.
And we get mad. And this is where time and that value aspect for me is that I learned a valuable lesson with a mentor of mine. And it became a mentor at this moment in encounter. I was like 12 minutes late.
Yeah.
And I was always known to be late. I run a few minutes here and there. And he says, George, I don't care how you feel about your time, but I value mine so much that I respect yours as well. And I got here 10 minutes early.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want any issues. I left my house X amount of minutes early to assume that there could be a car wreck. Average time, 15, 20 minutes. Let me use that time. He said, and really shoved down my throat that he respected my time so much, and I didn't respect it. But you know what happens when people get late on me at this time?
Wow.
I was so mad when people were late. It wasn't because I value my time, but because I wouldn't have disrespected in another regard. It's one of those things where I hated when somebody else was late.
Yeah.
But when I did it, I didn't think nothing, because I always had an excuse. In that moment, he taught me value is more than just what you have inward. It's what you show externally. And that became a value. It's like, I want to make sure that I show up and respect Ryan's time.
Yeah.
Right. I want to, not just because I respect my time, but I want to respect others. So you can't get mad at something that you don't have a structure behind.
Yeah.
And then purpose. So I wanted to say that you can learn more about RSVP workshop. Ryan does an incredible job. It's powerful. We're acronym junkies, but roles, strengths, values, purpose. You can learn more and get in contact with Ryan at culturegood.com and set up the discovery to bring that workshop into your organization.
Yeah.
On how do you effectively get this activated? When I think about this work handover, I think it goes great with checking in with your employees.
And how
do you hand it over? What does that transfer? And it's not everything.
Yeah.
But hey, you talked about deadlines, urgent things. I think of Eisenhower matrix, where there's urgency and there's importance. Where does it align with the matrix? Is it important, but it's not really urgent? Or is it really, really urgent and somewhat important? And that's how you prioritize some of the handover things.
Yeah. And I wanted to mention too, you were talking about just, when you were talking about showing up on time, there's a really good segue because we want to take a break with craziest shit in HR.
All right, let's do it right now.
All right, so this is the craziest shit in HR, brought to you by and powered by the Culture. All right, so imagine this happens to you. All right, a fun-loving boyfriend decided to surprise his partner by posting her an unusual present himself. So he sent himself in a package.
Okay.
But the joke went terribly wrong when the delivery was delayed.
Uh-oh.
And he almost suffocated.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He made a friend tape him into a box that he had paid a courier firm to deliver to his girlfriend. All right. Another friend was waiting at his girlfriend's office to film the surprise when he jumped out. In a horrifying twist of fate, however, the unsuspected couriers mixed up the address, and instead of 30 minutes in a sealed box, he was trapped inside for nearly 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
The box had very little air inside and was too thick for him to make a hole in it. By the time the package had arrived at the girlfriend's office, where the friend was waiting to record her surprise on camera, he passed out and had to be revived by paramedics. He said,
"We're not laughing at the situation, but it's funny."
No, it's I tried to make a hole in the cardboard, but it was too thick, and I didn't want to spoil the surprise by shouting. A spokesman for the courier firm said, "If he told us what he was doing at the start, we wouldn't have taken the parcel. Even when we accept animals, they have to go in special containers so they can breathe." Anyway, I thought that was some crazy shit. Could you imagine getting that call as an HR person? Like, we got a situation.
You got
here.
a package?
Yeah,
a dead package?
Somebody taped themselves into a thick ass package and couldn't breathe for over 3 hours. Yeah.
Wow.
That, my friends, is crazy shit.
That's crazy.
So when you said showing up on time, I'm like, that dude really needs to work on showing up on time. That's the greatest metaphor for a picture of it. Not metaphor, but yeah, like, look at that.
That's
But,
crazy.
you know, I think, you know, back to the topic at hand. Yeah, PTO is something that should be protected within the workplace because we're protecting the mental health and well-being of our team members when we do so. And when we protect our own time off, we're doing that for us.
Yeah.
You know, we have to prioritize our own well-being. So many, you know, one of the top hot topics right now in the workplace space is burnout. You know, we talk all the time about burnout. You know, there's reality within the workplace that if we continue to run on high all the time, you know, and our gears are constantly moving and we're constantly working, eventually we get to a place of burnout and we don't even know we're headed there.
Yeah.
And I think when we look at the structure, because you talked about having a structured life, when we look at the structure of our year, and I said earlier I hadn't taken a vacation for 5 years. That's not healthy. You know what I'm saying? That's not, and so I have to structure my life better or more in a healthier way so that I'm giving myself permission.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that we're giving ourselves permission to take off.
Yeah.
I don't know that as bosses and managers and supervisors or whatever position and title we hold, that we're yet at a place where we're giving permission to our team members to be able to care for themselves well.
Right.
And I think when we honor the time off, particularly PTO, and we protect that, what we're doing is we're saying to our team members, I respect you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's what you were talking about earlier. Like, do you respect my time?
Yeah.
And when we honor and protect the PTO, when we don't, we're dishonoring. And we're actually saying, I don't respect your time.
Yep.
Right? When you're away on vacation, even if it's a day, even if it's a staycation, well, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just staying home.
Yeah.
I can jump on my email, you know, and I'm not suggesting people don't answer emails ever when they're on vacation. I'm just suggesting that.
I am.
Are you?
Take your time out. I think it comes when we can't make an argument, and I'll say it because of this. We can't make an argument in the workplace that we care about our employees and we want them to show up. We want to show up for them and show that we care, and then expect them not to take time off when they do it. If they're going to have PTO, respect the PTO. I think the respect, when it comes to respect and reinforcement, stop responding to it. You got to show that respect. I think it starts with us as a leadership example. And I go to something you always remind me of: what leaders don't embody,
people won't embrace.
We can't embrace it. And so we as leaders have to set that example, and we should lead by example by respecting our time, by respecting our PTO, demonstrating that this is value time across the organization. And when you're on PTO, whether it's a staycation or vacation, whatever the vacation is, whatever your vacation is, and you have PTO, we can't argue about mental health and well-being and showing up and taking care of our people and then expect them to work through those things. We're not helping them. We're not helping mental health by saying, Ryan, take a vacation, but this off time is opportunities for flexibility, and I want you to respond to emails. At least respond to my emails. No, shut down. And if they don't respect it, they don't like it, ask them about the values of the business. You want to talk about some accountability? I had PTO. You've also been shoving this down our throat that our values are. And if they try to say, hey, drive, or one of our values is drive the business, how are you driving the business? By being healthy. And taking time off and taking care of me. So when I come back, you're gonna have the best George ever.
Well, we know culture is more than slogans.
Exactly. So it's like action. How can I want to feel so I can believe and behave. If you want my behavior to be full throttle, if you want me all in, I'm great for that. But expect me to have some all off time as well. And I think leaders, we have to respect that. And we can do that in a positive way. We always talk about reinforcing things. We use the ACHAR a lot in our opportunities of change management and leadership. We use it in our culture good certification for our champions. And we talk about that reinforcement. I think this is where positive reinforcement comes in. Hey, George, Ryan, I acknowledge that, hey, you didn't take your laptop. That's awesome. For someone who had not taken a vacation in 5 years, and always has a habit of, even on staycations or short trips to visit your beautiful daughter in Boston.
Literally love working on vacation. I actually enjoy it.
I acknowledge that you're great. I acknowledge that you
and that's helpful too. And when you recognize it, you reinforce. It's a constant reinforcement of behavior. Once you have the policy in place and you say, okay, this is like a no contact policy, to your point. I'm saying answer a few emails. You're saying, come on, Ryan, no emails, right? No contact policy. And then having a proper work handover is the strategy to make that work, right? So you can talk about policy all day long, but if you don't have a way to get away and actually be away, then this is a difficult conversation. If someone's listening, they don't have a team and a leader that supports protecting their time off, it's what you're saying. Let's hold that leader in that company accountable.
Well, let's go into the legal
that's how you build trust, man.
Let's go into legal aspects. We had an HR lady, Kristen Kuyot, at the time was like, hey, if you're working on vacation, that PTO you're not taking paid time off. If you spend X amount of time, and it depends on your city or state, you have to check that in. So, a voice for the employees. If you're working on vacation, that's work. That's not PTO. So if you're taking 8 hours out of that day and you had to spend X amount of time, you have to check your state laws. But if you're spending X amount of time at minimum, that's a gain hour back. Because you put in. You don't have to work a full hour. But if you spend X amount of minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, I believe it is, minimum, answering emails and calls, that's a work day. They pay you for that. And so there's a legal aspect of the paid time off. A lot of companies and organizations won't expose that to their employees as, hey, if you do work, clock in, you get a clock in for the hour, turn that time in. Because that's the real listing on a lot of companies and a lot of employees. I was ignorant, I didn't know.
I didn't know that.
But there are some laws that protect employees towards PTO as well, because it's an advantage. We don't now the workplace employers, most employers don't educate on that. Why? Because it benefits the business. But you got to protect that and respect that as well from a PTO and support it to make sure there's two types of respect and reinforcement. when you do come back after you're reinforced, you recognize that you reward them, thank them, appreciate them for coming back, refresh. Sometimes for me, I like to come back home a day early because vacation wears me out sometimes because you're doing all these crazy things. You're waking up, experiencing, climbing mountains, whatever, roller coaster, whatever you're doing. You come back tired, you got to work the next day. I usually come back a day and like to relax and do nothing that day. Maybe it's time zone difference.
Yeah.
Try to gather myself again. But I want to come back, good, feeling good at work.
Yeah.
Especially when my time has been respected. And I think part of that transition, as we talk about the policy, no contact, we talk about making sure we're setting an example. Part of that respect and reinforcement is that when you do come back, hey, this is what we accomplished with some of the tasks, like ensuring and making that transition back to work, right? Holding a catch up,
post support, and
like post,
reintegrate
postcation.
Postcation.
I mean, postcation. A postcation meeting.
The pre-cation, duringcation, and postcation. And the postcation really is that. It's how do I help this team member? And how do I integrate myself back in?
Yeah, because we talk about anxiety and stress. You're not alone.
Yeah.
Everybody's got stress and anxiety about what they're about to come back to, especially in the HR space for all our HR leaders that listen.
I was just talking to somebody is like how many meetings we have, right?
Yeah.
Meeting, and all their time's put up with meetings. And they're like, I can't wait because I'm taking a vacation next week. Me. Oh, you're talking about you talking about the
memes? Was it memes?
No, I think you're talking about those things in the puppets that have the I don't know. Anyway, I'm not really sure what you're talking about. Me.
A T-shirt to anybody who can remember the movie. I don't know. Maybe it was like what was the fish? Finding Nemo was that they were like team was saying on me? I don't know. It wasn't me. Maybe I don't know. Anyhow, I'll give you a T-shirt. Remind me what it is. Drop it in the comments.
I'm not sure what that is, but I think. Coming back, I was talking to someone, they're like, I'm getting next week off. I'm like, yeah, we have too many meetings. He said, to the point that people knew I was going to be back Monday and have already asked me on my team, can I meet with you 9 a.m. Monday? Almost like you're going to take this vacation, but I'm going to fill in the day you get back with meetings from 9 a.m. on. That's not how that, and so all you're thinking is like on vacation, and you're going back to work,
right?
But to this individual's point, added that extra day where they're not taking another day of vacation. They're taking a day where they can get back into work and just get back mentally into, you know what I'm saying?
Let them check in how they want to check in.
Yeah, and then start setting up meetings. Yeah. Like how are we creating kind of a postcation integration where it's like after the vacation, how are we going to check back in? Checking back in with that team member, because it does feel awkward when you're coming back from vacation. You've been out on this, wherever you're at, even if it's at home in your backyard, and you're coming back into work and things have been happening without you for a week, and it's like, okay, I need to be reintegrated back into this so that I can just step back in and be able to do this effectively.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If not, we're just kind of thrown back into the mix, and it feels like, man, I need another vacation.
Yeah.
already
after
half a day.
Yeah.
And it's and again, it's not like after vacation it should take 3 weeks, but like give a day of integration and to be able to have a smooth kind of process to help reduce the stress of going back to work.
Yeah.
Because there's anxiety taking a vacation. There's anxiety being on vacation while work is happening, and then there's stress and anxiety as you're going back to work.
Yeah.
And to recognize that, and it's not, stress that's going to take you out or anything. Or debilitating. It's stress that is impactful though, and it impacts our work. It impacts our mental health and our well-being. And I think it's really important that from this conversation that we're having today, that people do an evaluation of the workplace and say, are we protecting time off? Are we protecting time off and also do a self-evaluation. Am I protecting my time?
Yeah.
And this is the challenge for me. I'll be really, really honest with you. Qatar and I talk about it every time we go on vacation, is like, how are we not going to work? Yeah. And we're entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
I think as we kind of end this conversation today with a few, points, when you're an entrepreneur, that's an entirely other complexity that is brought in, because on vacation, you got a lot of ideas for business, a lot of things are coming to you. You've got actually freedom to think.
Yeah. The day-to-day is off your mind.
You're not working in the business. Oh, now I got time to work on the business. Yeah. That's not, if you need that, then you need to call it something different than a vacation.
Yeah.
That's getting away. That's getting away from work so that you can work on it.
We're making all kinds of cases. Right?
Yeah. and being a visionary is able to take a step back. So when we take a step back from work, a lot of times on vacation might be the first time we've taken a step back from it. And so we can see it. And so as an entrepreneur or somebody that's creative, all ideas start coming to us while we're away from the work. But the question is, how do we take those moments to be visionary and entrepreneurs and to be away from the work in the sense of working on it rather than in it? But when we're on vacation, we need to take a vacation.
Yeah.
That's not the time to get creative with work.
Yeah. Yep. So a couple of things as we're wrapping up, and I'll just rattle off, 7 or 8 things. Encouraging the use of it. Number one, let's make sure our people are using it.
Yeah.
I would encourage employers to think about this use it or lose it mentality versus use it. We've seen some companies have like a PTO bank where they can stock it up. We've seen some people say, hey, you can use PTO as a rollover, X amount of those. Yeah. But I would encourage people, hey, make sure, don't wait until like November, December.
Yeah.
Like encourage it every quarter. Hey, just let you know, a reminder, you got X amount of PTO. Plan to use it.
Even if it does accrue year over year.
If you see people struggling, hey, use some of your PTO, take a couple of mental health days.
Yeah.
Just use, I want to save a month later. Listen, you need a break, I'm giving you a break. Allow managers, wouldn't it be creative if managers and leaders had X amount of pocket PTO times that they can just give to somebody?
Yeah.
So that, hey, I know that I take a fall break, I take a spring break, I got kids. So spring break, fall break, we take a week all the time. One's a cruise, one's, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I had no time. But if Brian knows that George is struggling, hey, George, don't come off.
Hey, don't come Saturday, George.
Don't come Saturday.
You can have this Saturday off.
I come on Saturday to go work out. We got a gym here in the building, so I like to go to the gym and then go down the slide on Saturday. But yeah, encourage it. Number 2, streamline approval process. Make sure that it's simplified, right? If it's a difficult process to take PTO and you got to have it in, sometimes things come up. Where we find, I didn't know that person was in town. I want to, some people want to surprise you. Streamline the approval process. Don't make unnecessary delays, right? Minimum work contact, shutting it off. Yeah. Give them off time, not no opportunity for with flexibilities, but some fulfillment. Make sure that you give them adequate coverage.
Yeah.
And protection. Make sure they have, some responsibilities that they're able to hand over to somebody if they need to hand it over, and give their work. Advanced planning, maintaining flexibility.
Well, I think the planning thing is really big.
Yeah.
If you don't have a plan, you can't do this well. Again, there's a difference between managing your time and leading your time.
Yeah.
Everybody talks about time management. That's different than time leadership. Time management, you manage your time as it comes. Time leadership is you lead ahead of it. So you have a plan.
Yeah.
Right. A leader without a plan is just a manager.
Yeah.
Right. So if you want to lead your life, it's time leadership. It's taking the time and planning so that you have the architecture and the structure and the space.
Yeah.
And I love summarizing all that with the word agency. Having the agency to be able to go and be away and to truly stay away while you are.
Yeah.
That's going to be key is that planning. It's good stuff, man.
And I'll end with this. I don't know if I know you had a quote or something you wrote down, if you want to share that, but I think about this pro and cons, and I believe it was Indeed a while back, had pros and cons of vacation. That was something that really, you said, George, how do we actually put this into practice? One thing that I did, I use that matrix all the time, that over, cross kind of team. And there's a lot of pros to PTO, right? Mental health, you get all those things, a lot of pros of vacations. There's a lot of cons, right? Take a vacation, come back to a bunch of emails, come back to workflow, been disrupted. The cons of PTO sometimes.
Yeah.
Have to pair someone with family that you really don't want to be hanging with, right? There's always going to be pros and cons. But I think that sweet spot in the middle that we always encourage is obviously taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
And the importance of that. And so, this is not something, if you use it, you lose it or abuse it, whatever. Some companies now, and I've met several of them that have unlimited PTO.
Yeah.
He said, man, everybody be on vacation all the time. I think there's a respect value there that people they truly get.
Yeah.
Where it's not abused or misused.
Yeah.
And sometimes say this PTO is
right
a workcation. So I want to encourage people and employers as well to look at how your policies look and do what's best for your people. Take care of your people. Your people will take care of your business.
Yeah.
Especially if they're healthy in all aspects.
Yeah.
So yeah, I appreciate it, man. I think this conversation can keep on going. I think there's a lot of conversations that could be had, but make sure you as a leader, as always, are taking care of you and showing up for yourself.
Yeah. And don't forget, in a world that's always on, one of the greatest gifts that you can give as a leader, or a gift that you can give to yourself, is the freedom to switch off. And that ability to switch off and to really switch off while we're taking PTO. So the new PTO is more than just paid time off, it's protected time off. Yeah, it's good stuff, man. Hey, thank you all for joining us today. We appreciate it. Again, as George always says, we want you to subscribe and like us. We want to be liked, y'all.
We just want to be liked or loved. We all want to be loved.
Yeah. Like us, love us, subscribe, share, and as always, we'll see you back here next week on Champion Your Culture.
Thank you for tuning in to Champion Your Culture. We hope today's episode has sparked new ideas and inspiration for your journey in leadership and cultural development.
Building a culture good is a collective effort. If you found value in conversations today, please subscribe to our podcast. Follow us on your favorite platform and share this episode with your friends and colleagues.
Your support helps us reach more people and spread the message of impactful leadership and positive cultural change. Don't forget to visit cultureofgood.com to explore how you can become a certified culture champion.
Every week, we're here to bring you insights and strategies that matter. So join us again for more empowering discussions. Let's continue to champion a culture of purpose and passion together.
Until next time, keep leading with heart and let's make a positive difference in the world. And we'll see you next week on Champion Your Culture.